When Apple announced the Apple Watch Ultra, two thoughts immediately crossed my mind. The first was, I want that watch right now. And the second was, Apple should make an iPhone 15 Ultra. And after what we've seen out of the iPhone 14 Pro, I think that this idea is more relevant now more than ever before. Okay, so before we talk about the iPhone 15 Ultra or what I would like to see out of it, let me tell you why I think Apple should make one, and I think the simplest answer to that is, well, because people would buy one. Look, this year we saw the trend increasing that most people are opting to buy Apple's more premium and more expensive iPhone offerings, and the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max exceeded Apple's sales expectations. What started off as a crazy notion of $1,000 smartphones has now become normal, and with people buying more premium phone models over lower-end models, it makes sense that Apple should explore that higher end market. Furthermore, the expansion of more premium models makes even more sense when you look at Apple's business model as a whole and see just how much of that revenue is made up of selling iPhones. And when you really consider Apple's other lineups, why does Apple sell so many different types of Macs or so many different types of iPads when there's really only 4 different iPhone models? For example, look at this Mac lineup. You have different Macs like the MacBook Air to the MacBook Pro with a bunch of different models in between. Then you have desktop Macs like the Mac Mini to the iMac to the Mac Studio and then the Mac Pro, again with all of those different configurations. And again, there's just so many different options to suit the needs of Mac users. And then you look at something like the iPad. There's a huge range of iPads currently available. And for the 14 and 14 Pro, even though there's 4 different models, it's really just 2 different size iPhones with the same spec. So you have the 14 and the 14 Plus, and then the 14 Pro, and then the 14 Pro Max. And again, just look at that sales chart. Look at how much of Apple's business percentage-wise is made up of selling iPhones. And when you consider that, it doesn't make sense that there's, if we're being kind, only 4 different iPhone models. There should be more models in this lineup, and I think one of those should be a more premium offering, and Apple should jump on that opportunity. So with that in mind, let's start with the cost of what an iPhone Ultra would look like. So let's look at the most expensive base model iPhone that Apple offers right now, and that is the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which starts at $1,099 for a 128GB model. With that in mind, we should price a potential iPhone Ultra even higher, and I think quite a bit higher from that base model, and I think a good starting price for a higher end model would be $1,500. Now, what would that extra $400 get you over a Pro Max? Well, for starters, I think the iPhone Ultra should have a unique form factor with a slightly bigger 6.8-inch display. The body of this phone, I think, should take cues from the Apple Watch Ultra, and the stainless steel frame should be replaced with titanium. Titanium for a phone body would be a more premium material that would be better in a couple of areas. First of all, it would technically be stronger than stainless steel, so it would be more durable, and with a more matte finish, it would also stand up better to fingerprint smudges. I think the biggest advantage to titanium is that it would be a lighter material than stainless steel. So while the iPhone 14 Pro is notorious for being a heavy phone, the iPhone 15 Ultra with an even bigger display would be lighter than the 14 Pro Max series, and it would be a good middle ground in weight between the regular and the Pro models. And while I'm not sure how the final design would look like, if you wanted to make this more durable like the Apple Watch, maybe it could even borrow that raised lip that the Apple Watch Ultra has to incorporate that into the design of the iPhone 15 Ultra. That way, if you drop your phone, it would likely hit that upper lip first, preventing a direct hit on the glass and reducing the chances that the display would crack or shatter. Another design element that Apple could steal from the Apple Watch Ultra is to give the iPhone 15 Ultra a dedicated action button, and the perfect place for that button would be just where they removed the SIM card tray slot on the latest iPhone models. Now, like the Ultra, you should be able to customize this action button to do a quick shortcut to an iPhone feature. I think the most popular quick shortcut for that button would be to map it to instantly open your camera when you press it. However, I could see people setting that for like a bunch of different things. So setting it for timers, stopwatches, quick screenshots, screen recordings, set it to your calculator, or even setting it up to really quickly get access to your flashlight. Furthermore, Apple should follow what makes the Apple Watch Ultra a great addition to the watch lineup, and that is adding features that matter. So with an iPhone 15 Ultra, I think one of those features would be adding even more battery capacity. And this would work out really well too, because we just talked about the 15 Ultra being lighter if it uses titanium. And the big thing that adds weight to a phone battery, besides the materials it's using, is battery capacity. Adding battery into the phone adds more weight. So let's say Apple makes the Ultra a little bit thicker, adds more battery, but adds a titanium frame. That means we could offset the additional weight and get an increase in battery life even over the Pro Max model. However, there are features that iPhone owners value that aren't relevant on the Apple Watch Ultra. The biggest one I can think of is the camera. And if you're paying for a premium iPhone, it should come with the best camera possible, and that could take shape in multiple ways. The iPhone 15 Ultra could feature a bigger camera sensor, better camera optics, faster apertures, higher megapixel counts, or maybe even additional lenses like a better dedicated zoom lens. Those types of camera features would be really welcome on the iPhone 15 Ultra, and Apple could further tie those features to connectivity and equip this iPhone with a Thunderbolt 4 port, which could give super fast data transfer speeds for offloading those higher storage pictures and videos. Speaking of which, an Ultra style iPhone should come with even higher base storage than what is offered on the regular models. I think 512 gigabytes for a minimum base storage would be helpful, especially to make sure that there aren't too many SKUs of this iPhone. You could literally just offer two different SKUs, a 512 gigabyte version of the Ultra and then a 1 terabyte model, rather than the 4 separate SKUs that the iPhone 14 Pro needs to have with its 4 different base storage tiers. Now, one area where I wouldn't want an exclusive feature for the iPhone 15 Ultra is with performance, and that's because I always liked Apple's strategy of making all iPhones perform the same, and I really didn't like it this year when Apple made the regular iPhone 14 perform worse with an A15 chip instead of the A16 chip, which was exclusive to the Pro models. Now, it's probably too late to save the regular iPhone from receiving last year's chips now that the precedent is set, but I still hope that if Apple adds an Ultra in the lineup, that at least maybe the iPhone 14 Pro and the Apple Watch Ultra will use the same exact A-series chip. So if the iPhone 15 Pro comes with an A17 chip, hopefully the Ultra comes with it as well. And then next year the A18 chip, and then whatever chip is released after that. Now, while these chips may be the same in performance, I think what the Ultra could do as a little bit of a differentiator is to include more memory. So the iPhone 14 Pro has 6 gigabytes memory right now, but with the release of a 15 Ultra, maybe you could increase that memory size to 8 gigabytes, and that would actually bring it right in line with the base configurations of the M1 and M2 chip for available memory on those models. Ultimately, though, I would just want this iPhone Ultra to have features that made sense for a more premium iPhone, and I think that really does have to do with a different material design, better battery life, exclusive features that would make sense for this higher end model. But let me know, what do you think of the idea of an iPhone 15 Ultra? Like, would you pay more money for these exclusive features that I outlined in this video, or do you think that the iPhone 14 Pro series is already expensive enough? Also, if I didn't mention any feature you think would be great on an iPhone 15 Ultra, let me know what you would add in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, make sure you give me a like. If you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everyone.